Hello, welcome to Real World Audio Club Mondays. This is something new. I'm starting now on Monday, and I really hope I can continue doing this and present you a video on Mondays. And this will be on audio philosophy, and this is something that I have been labeled several times already, that I'm kind of like the audio philosopher, because I'm going often deeper to dig into the audio gear, music, listening to music. What is it for? What I'm looking for. So basically, what is it for? That's for you to figure it out. What I'm looking for, what I've discovered, this is what my channel is about, that I'm sharing it to you. So you have an opinion, an overview from an audiophile, myself, a music lover, myself, a guy who builds his own gear, myself, a guy who learned for a decade and a half from a crazy genius equipment designer and builder, myself, and who have spent more than 10,000 hours, maybe 20,000 hours of critical listening, myself, and someone who went through serious hearing distress in his life. I mean, my hearing has been exposed to just some really heavy burden, after which I had really hard time even just hearing people talk. Like after coming home from work, the exposure was so loud, the noise exposure at work, that if someone was talking to me and I did not see his mouth moving, I did not hear it. I had to see the person, concentrate, very, very hard, laser hardness, and then I heard and I could make out the words. But if I did not see the person talking to me, I didn't even hear that someone is talking. So I had some workplaces like that where the noise exposure during daytime was so high that after spending several months in that environment, my hearing got really critically affected, so that after work it was almost next to useless. And with the help of my mentor, I managed to overcome it. It wasn't easy like this. It involved a lot of things, and a lot of things I've shared already in my Lifeline for Audiophile series, and I'm going to share more about it. And I could use that and my other experiences as well to discover more about what I do when I listen to music, what I want to hear, and why is it something for me. What do I get from music, from listening? Why do I listen to speakers like that? Why can't I listen to just some regular headphones, which I do? And is it satisfying, or maybe just listening to music on a phone? And am I not happy with that? Why do I need that? And to tell the truth, even listening to music on the phone, I'm fine with that. I can enjoy music even from the phone. And this message is for everyone, that if you don't get the chance, maybe you don't have the time to build gear for yourself, maybe you don't have the money to buy expensive audio gear for yourself, you just love listening to music, that's all you need. And going beyond that, it's an exploration. But even for myself, the biggest part of this exploration was to explore myself. My relationship with the music, what happens in me when I hear things. And what I noticed is when I have something more refined than just the cell phone or a boombox or something, or TV, then what is the extra that it gives? And what I noticed is that what it gives is, let's see. Okay, I managed to move to the next slide. I'm looking for something very different than what the mainstream audio is. I see the mainstream audiophile gear and the whole marketing around it and the world as like an illusion generating, a hype generating business, because you need the hype to sell these equipment that sell for insane prices. It's worse than doing drugs. It costs more money than chemical drugs if you go for, like, the most expensive audio gear. So this is good news for the junkies, because even though they spend loads of money on shooting themselves up, they still save a ton of money compared to buying some stereo gear. And I'm not saying you should do either of that, but what I'm saying is both of them can damage you to quite a degree. And while people are really quite well informed about the danger of abusing your body with chemical substances, the dangers of abusing your body with high-end audio are not that known. And am I saying that all high-end audio is dangerous for you? No, I'm not. What I'm saying is chasing the illusion of high-end audio at the cost of sacrificing for your life, that is really dangerous for you. When you don't understand what you are doing, you want the best for yourself. That's ridiculous. And I'm saying here that just wean off audio porn, because that kind of illusion and imagery that we are getting from the media, from the majority of the reviews and kind of the sales pitch, is just, they are trying to sell you bigger for more. But what that does is that it hints at satisfying your hunger that you have for a wonderful illusion around you, a wonderful sonic illusion that is similar, I guess it must be similar, to what people experience when they are on drugs. I really haven't talked to any buddies of mine who are doing drugs and listening to music. I'm sorry, I can't report about any experiences like that, but my mentors too told me a story about a visual analogy. So when the Star Wars episode 4 came out, and he went to watch it with his buddy, and they watched it from the first row. And when the credit starts and the line go like that, his buddy was already, whoa! And then after they watched it, next day he talked to his buddy, how did you like it? He said, like, that was just incredible, but I have to watch it when I'm not on drugs. So we know that like drugs like totally alter your visual cues, but I suspect, based on what I experienced from the sound, is that audio gear really does something like that. And especially nowadays, the high-end audio gear and the audio industry is going towards such a direction that it's not every audio gear, but the vast majority, the trend is to provide us with an illusion, with an audible illusion that gives also visual cues for your nervous system, not just auditory cues. Because when you are at a performance and you are listening to music, you are also watching them. So there's a pianist in front of you playing. There's a singer, there's a lady, she's moving her head, she's singing, things are happening, people sitting next to you. You can look around and you can see stuff in the concert hall, or maybe if you are at a rock concert, you can jump up and down and see the lights, flashing lights and whatnot, smoke. But when you are listening to it from a playback in your home, then there's no visual cues. There's a pair of boxes in front of you, and you're still in your freaking room. You haven't gone anywhere. You are at home, in your room, in your slippers, your jumpers, pajamas, or God knows what. And what the equipment manufacturers figured out is that if we alter the sound, the sonic character of the reproduced music to trigger more visual cues, to trigger our visual cortex, then it will be much more enjoyable than representing the sound the way you hear it when you are at the event, or what you hear when you are in your room and there's someone playing a guitar, when there's someone singing next to you, then you are still in your room and there's your buddy playing his guitar, and it can be perfectly fine. And you know what is real because you listen to his guitar playing, it is real. You listen to your friend singing, it's real, he's singing in your room. But we want something much more special than that. And then we have these fantastic high-end products today that alter the sonic character of the sound for maximizing the visual cues. And now, why I call that audio porn, and why I do that? Because it gets you addicted to this artificial sound. And if you always listen to that, it's enough to just continue listening to hi-fi gear, to audio, like high-end gear, for a couple of years, and that will become your baseline. And you won't even notice that you slipped off into the audio porn territory. And what that means is that you no longer will be able to enjoy real audio sex, which is just going to a concert and enjoy it. You want those extra visual cues. Or maybe we could debate it, but really, when you go into when you hear a live concert, it's not that it's the live and the music, the recorded version is a recorded one and always has to be inferior, but by this auditory, visual, illusionary machinery, we can make it so much more spectacular than the real event was. So there's a dichotomy there, but at the same time, the entire audio industry is trying to sell you the concept that the real event is always phenomenal, that's God coming down to us. And when you have a recording, that's always shit compared to the real events. And what I noticed, what my experience is that I have heard absolutely wonderful performances live, and I have heard absolutely wonderful recordings coming from my stereo, which both of them gave me tremendous joy, gave me insight, and made me a more fulfilled, happier human being, and I got energy from that, more strength to carry on and work or work out, or just be more loving and kind human being to my fellow human beings. And the opposite is also true. I have heard recordings from audio gear which were absolutely either terrible sounding or just disappointing sounding or fatigued or hurt my ears. But the same is true for live recordings. I have heard live music, so not live recordings, live music performances. I have heard loud performances where the acoustics was horrid, just yuck, hurting my ears, terrible, unbalanced frequency response, major peaks and valleys, major phase issues, couldn't even hear maybe half of the bass line, couldn't even, the singer singing was completely unintelligible, or something, grave problems like that. And I can tell you guys that at live concerts, there's a bigger chance that you will experience a clusterfuck than from an average recording in your stereo system. Because the recordings are there's like an expectation to record things properly. Mostly below a certain threshold, things don't get published. But now, for the past 20 years, we could be very doubtful of that, because some really questionable quality material has passed through into the recorded music, land of the recorded music. But you can build up a collection of thousands of records or CDs or streams which have just pretty good quality, listenable, enjoyable music that will edify your heart, your soul, and will help you being more than you were before you listened to all of that. And when you go to a live performance, especially if you've never been to that venue, you never heard those people, it's more likely if it's amplified, that can be a huge factor. If it's unamplified, you have a better chance that it will sound better. But it's not a given. So now you say, János told me that if a concert is unamplified, I have a better chance that it will sound better than, or at least I will avoid a complete cluster fudge if I go to an unamplified concert compared to going to an amplified one. But there the key element is you. Because if you are used to going to like Nirvana concerts and AC/DC concerts, like 130 dB, 140 dB, in your ears for an hour, 2 hours. Next day you can't even hear for 2 days because your ears are ringing for a week. And then you notice that you can only hear people when they are shouting at you. So if you have acquired habits like that, or maybe you were unfortunate at your work and you are exposed to really loud noises at your work, if you go to an amplified concert, maybe you won't even hear a thing about it. And you will be just bored there because I didn't hear 95% of it. So, János, what did you tell me? So what I'm telling you is that there's no single advice that's applicable to 8 billion human beings on planet Earth. All of us are different, and what I am advocating for is to wean off from audio porn, and part of audio porn is that it's suggesting to us that there's a commonality on everything, in everything, and there's just one ideal that will make you happy, and we all have to go to there. And when we purchase that $1 million hi-fi gear, then we'll be in audio heaven and everyone will be and that's not my experience, not at all. You will be only happy with audio gear when you develop, when you change yourself. Happiness doesn't come from your audio gear. Happiness comes from within you. And you need to be the one to find out what is the trigger for you, what triggers your happiness, what starts your cognitive skills. Because the function of these speakers behind me or these headphones is not to provide me with verbatim same quality as imagine like Johanna Marzi playing violin, and the equipment here, it cannot replicate Johanna Marzi 100%. I will not get that. There's no such thing on earth that can do exact same thing. There are lots of contrary videos on YouTube when people swear to God that their equipment 100% sounded exact same that when he was at the concert, it sounded just like that. And I agree with that. In that case, his experience at the concert and with that recording matched up. But that's because he went through the journey how to find that for himself. If you get another guy or girl or child or dog and you would put them at the exact same concert and the exact same audio gear, they would have had a different experience, because each musical event affects each of us differently. And when you listen to music, when I listen to music, it triggers emotions in me. It triggers thoughts. It triggers memories. And my memories, my thoughts, my emotions are different from yours. Hearing the exact same thing will trigger something completely different in me and something completely different in you. And how the equipment triggers your memories, that is something that is truly something extremely personal, and you have to find out what works for you. So for example, for me, most of my creativity is exploded and engaged when I listen to speakers that are live cabinets, that do not have dampening in them. Because what dampening does, it slows down the transmission speed of the sound. So when you put stuffing in a loudspeaker, it doesn't just dampen the loudspeaker by pushing against the cabinet walls, and it absorbs vibrations. But when you put that stuffing, and I'm talking about stuffing material that you put in your cabinet, that slows down the transmission, the speed of sound basically. And for the sound, it looks as if the insides of your cabinet were bigger. But because of that slowing down, the energy that's contained within your cabinet, those pressure waves riding back and forth, that is delayed. So it's kind of like you have a dough, like an elastic band, and you are stretching that elastic band, and you are taking it out from the time alignment. So at the tonality range, that will do really subtle things. And these subtle things might not show up for a lot of things, like for example, if you listen to percussive music, or listening to synths, ting, 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 or a lot of metallic instruments with that really high order distortion, and playing them really loud, you won't even notice it, whether you have heavy damping or not. It won't pick up, won't trigger your brain that much about this smudging effect. But when you listen to instruments with wooden body, with a lot of harmonic content, like a violin or a piano or a human voice, then if your hearing is subtle enough, then it can be absolutely destructive. So for me, when I put in stuffing inside the speakers or dampening, it just makes the sound artificial, and it just kills it for me. It's just done. But for you, it might be different. And it's not just depending on you, what your ears are used to hearing. Because for me, it was different as well. And it depends a lot on your associated equipment. Because what I have noticed is when you add more stuffing, you add more dampening, then it acts as an equalizer. So if you had like problems that certain frequencies are overrepresented and certain frequencies are underrepresented, so your loudspeaker is not flat response, but it has peaks and valleys. When you add stuffing, these peaks and valleys will be equalized, and your bass response will feel tighter. And what a lot of people want to hear is tighter bass. In here in the United States, tighter bass is the mantra, the number one, probably the number one selling point for audio products. Tight bass, right? If it's as tight as like a block of cement, then people, yeah, I love it, I love it. But guys, this is where this comes through. Like, go for your dreams. If like this tight is not what you are looking for, then that won't work for you. And why am I saying that? I'm saying that because tightness is better and better, perceived better and better when you are strictly in the hi-fi world and you are strictly addicted to audio porn. And within audio porn, tighter is kind of like the bigger private parts in the porn. That's why Pamela Anderson got bigger and bigger, because of this silly obsession with some craziness, like losing touch with the real world more and more. And that's the equivalent of the tightness in audio, in the bass. And I'm saying that because when I went to lots and lots of live concerts, all kinds, and I can tell like that in live venues, the bass is super tight when the acoustics sucks wind, when your drums are massively overloading the acoustics. That's when it's super tight. And for me, that's a no-no, because when that happens, also what happens is that the SPs are extreme and you are very much into the zone where you are destroying your hearing. And this is where you go for your dreams. Your dreams might be that. You might crave those kind of sound pressure levels, which are just insanely high, but then be aware that within a few years your hearing will be severely compromised and there's no point of return. You will be gone. And you have your quick pleasures, and then the world of audio is unattainable to you. And when you are young, you think, oh, okay, I'm young. Who cares about a 90-year-old grandpa? Old fuck. I should, you know. But you blink twice and you will be that 90-year-old fellow. There's always the day of today. And you can only hope that you will be that 90-year-old guy, that 90-year-old fellow one day, and that it will be your reality. And if in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you go for that super tight bass, which only happens when you are at that level that critically damages your ears, when you get 19 years old, even when you get 60, you are in hearing aid land, and forget about high fidelity or that refined enjoyment of music that touches your soul. You will be struggling to hear any notes whatsoever. And you will be happy, like, I can hear high frequencies. Oh my God, I haven't heard them in 50 years. You don't want to go there. Or maybe do. It's your path. You choose. For myself, I have chosen that year by year, I want to be able to appreciate more and more of music. And I'm aware that the physical organ, my ears, and the neurons that are transferring the vibrations into electric signals, they are doing poorer and poorer year by year. So I have to work twice as hard. I have to double down on giving all the protection to my ears and do my best to preserve my hearing so I can continue on the path of improving. And you can. because the experience of listening to music comes from two things in your body. Number one, the organ, the transducer, your ears and the neurons that transmit the signal to your brain. And number two, your brain, which unpackages the information. It's the most powerful computer in the universe that we know of. And if you train it, it can be immensely powerful. It can unpackage unlimited amount of information from the signal it's getting. But if you don't train it and you have like healthy hearing, yeah, maybe you get like 10 times the information than that 60-year-old conductor gets. But the 60-year-old conductor, from a thousandth of the information you are getting, can unpackage 10,000 times more content with his experience, with his training. And I think that's what audio is for. That's what it is for me. And I really, really hope that I inspired some of you, maybe I have inspired you, to choose yourself, to believe in yourself. Number one is that number one audio equipment that matters is you. It's your brain. It's not even your ears. We call it ears, but ears is secondary and you can't do anything about the ears. The only thing you can do about is processing. You're actively listening to music. You observe yourself listening to music. You cultivate healthy listening habits. You cultivate habits that protect your ears from excessive noises. And then that's how you can progress, step by step. And every day, we have days when our ears are rested, when our brains are rested, and we can enjoy music. And there are days when I think I can't hear a thing. I'm just too tired. My ears have shut down, my brain has shut down. Then don't even turn on your stereo system. Don't tire yourself. And when people are addicted to audio porn, in those instances, they just crank up the volume twice as much because, I've turned on the stereo, it's not giving me joy. It must be that I cannot crank it loud enough. So I spend 10 times as much money and get something that can crank out 20 plus dB, so I can just completely ruin what is left of my over-abused hearing. So that's why go into yourself, find your personal journey, because if you just are into the land of audio porn and think that louder is the best choice or it is a better choice, it will make you happier. No, it won't make you happier. It will fatigue your hearing faster, it will destroy your hearing faster if you are listening to louder with more extreme frequencies. It's just going to make your acoustic decline, the perception of the acoustic, the decline exponentially faster. The only choice that I find viable is to be aware of myself, my condition. Am I in a shape to listen to music today? Or maybe I just go and take a walk, or I just put on my closed earphones just to shut out the noises from outside and give me some extra quiet so my ears can regenerate, take some time in the quiet. And then after half an hour I rested, maybe then turn on the music, but turn it soft and quiet and listen to it. You won't like it, you will think it sounds rubbish. But after half an hour, when you stopped fixating on that I must turn the volume up, then suddenly you will notice, I'm enjoying the music. Wow, it's fantastic. And you realize I don't even have to crank it up louder. So I think that's enough musings for Mondays. Now it's time for you to get to work and enjoy your workday, enjoy your week. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.